What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic coming to you with another edition of PGA Tour DraftKings Reignmakers. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. We've reached the FedEx Cup playoffs. We also are about to reach the beginning of the NFL season. We have preseason Reignmakers going on in the streets. In fact, let's just bring that in here as we start off. Check it out. The first set of Reignmakers dropped. It was beautiful on Tuesday. Get some of those preseason packs. I think they're going for like $3 or $4 over that $19.99 price point. Over 50,000 packs. They sold out pretty quickly. It was incredible stuff. The demand is already there. They have contests posted. Everything across the board, friends. It's ready to rock for you. So if you want to rock with DraftKings Reignmakers for the NFL, the biggest form of Reignmakers that exists, you want to jump over to the shop. Go get yourself a couple of those packs for the preseason. Win yourself some extra cards. And then they also have these awesome packs that dropped. I'm in the PGA Tour one, obviously, but let me pull up the football stuff because, again, it's a great deal to cover for you as we're getting into this because we're going to cover the FedEx Cup playoffs, and I do have the FedEx Cup points list pulled up because we're going to do a lot of conversations the next 3 weeks. Yes, this week, 2 more weeks of the FedEx Cup playoffs, going from top 70 to top 50 to top 30. But again, NFL is king. We all know that. Play Action Premium, you can jump in for that. A little bit more of a pricier price point. This one's awesome. The Play Action Standard Pack. They now have these new Royal cards that you're able to get that accumulate stats and pay out crowns based on how they're doing over the course of a season. So it incentivizes you to keep the card longer, gives you an opportunity to play the really, really good players and get paid even on weeks where you might not bink, where you don't have the outlier outcomes. So I love that addition and change to the Reignmakers product. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And look, I mean, the play action, that sold out just so instantly. So get yourself some of those NFL packs. Get ready to rock. We are less than a month away from the beginning of the NFL season. I'm already thinking about what I'm going to do there for that Kansas City-Detroit game September 7th. Going to be awesome. Going to be awesome. I'm sure I'll have some content rocking. Also, where's my golf background? I got to find my golf background. There it is. Now we can talk golf. Now I'm feeling official, friends. Let's get ourselves over to the lobby. If it's your first time watching this program, welcome, first of all. That'd be pretty wild. But secondly, if you've been watching me all season long, we're going to do the standard stuff that we always do. We're going to build out a single entry lineup, my favorite lineup that we have here for single entry. We'll talk through a couple of game theory opportunities that you have for this week with just 70 golfers in the field at the St. Jude FedEx Classic. I mean, it's just FedEx Cup Championship. Again, FedEx Cup Championship. Cup. It's the FedEx Cup playoffs. There you go. That's why my brain was just completely shutting off on me there. But as you can see here, I have pulled up the tee times. But the most important part about this is how much card utility you're going to get from this week into next week. Top 70 gets trimmed down to top 50. It used to be 125. Now it is 70 that it starts off with. Justin Thomas finished 71st. So his cards have no utility the next 3 weeks. Bummer. But we've got an opportunity here to play some game theory opportunities with the best golfers in the field and try to snag some golfers as things are happening live on Sunday. So I'm coming to you Wednesday, early in the morning. Next week, I'll be in a new setup. Just wait. Just moving into the house. Feeling good. Feeling great. Feeling good. How are you? But we have an opportunity on Sunday to make some seriously great decisions to try to react to who's going to finish inside of that top 50. So we have their cards for next week. And I've got a couple of golfers highlighted as a result as we jump over to that. But first, my single entry lineup, it's going to be a lot of the best golfers that I own, that I've kept all season long. And yes, I have enough. I've built out a rare, but this is, I think, the most important thing to talk about in terms of building lineups for this week. I don't think it's the most important thing I'm going to talk about, period, because I think that's going to be when we talk the game theory and how you're going to react to certain players and who I think you should buy this week as prospective buys leading in to potentially jumping in next week and having utility, as only 50 golfers will be in that field. But the most important thing I can talk about is utilizing all of the tools on the Reignmaker site to make good decisions. Scotty Scheffler, Jon Rahm, Rory McIlroy. These are the best three golfers in the field. They've been the best three golfers all season long, and I don't think anybody's going to argue with it. So, who should I play in the captain spot? The captain spot being the spot where you get 1.5 times your fantasy points. Who do I think is going to be the lowest owned out of everybody up here? Now, there are some really strong cases to be made for just clicking Scotty Scheffler and moving along with your life. T23, T3, T4, 3, 3, T3, T2, T5, T11. It sounds like I'm saying droid names from Star Wars. No, I'm just listing off the finishes Scotty Scheffler's had this season. They have been redonkulous. He has been Tiger Woods-esque without really getting in the winner's circle all that often, which is a pretty wild outcome. Of course, you had the dub there, but outside of the players, I mean, we're talking about a guy who has just been lighting the world on fire without winning here in a couple of these. And you've been just fine clicking on him in the captain spot week in, week out. You've been just fine clicking on him wherever you wanted to. You just needed to have him. But he is not my favorite golfer for the captain this week. That, my friends, is going to be Rory McIlroy. And here is why. If we go to the Players tab, using all the tools that you have available to you at the Reignmakers site, this is, I think, the most underutilized part of using this tool because people come here, a lot of people probably don't know it exists yet, but the Players tab, this is relatively new, about a month, 2 months ago. A really great addition here by the Reignmakers team, but a lot of people come here to sort by cost and look at price, which is just fine. Again, you want to be able to look at that, be able to see kind of like, oh, who are the guys who score the most fantasy points? Oh, weird. It's always Scotty Scheffler, Jon Rahm, and those guys. But I use this more to see the total number of cards in play and number of collectible editions owned by all users. Scotty Scheffler is the most owned player in all of DraftKings Reignmakers. Colin Morikawa is second. I don't think we have to worry about him being a captain selection if you have the best cards. Jon Rahm is third. Rory McIlroy, there are only 44,136 editions of people who own his cards. That is significantly lower. We're talking, 10% lower than that of a Scotty Scheffler? I think Scotty Scheffler is going to be crazy bonkers owned in the captain spot. Everybody who's been playing this game, you've wanted to have the Scotty Scheffler cards. You've needed to have the Scotty Scheffler cards as you've gone along, much to my behest. But, my friends, Rory McIlroy, there are fewer editions of him, and his familiarity with these golf courses coming down the pipeline, the BMW next week, not as much familiarity, but for sure East Lake, where he is guaranteed to be in the top 30 and guaranteed to be my favorite captain play there because of how unbelievable his track record is. And I'm not a big course history guy, but he went toe-to-toe with the in-prime Scotty Scheffler last season, just put his foot on the gas, ran away with it. And overall, Rory McIlroy on East Lake is just an absolute beast. I think you can't say enough about his track record there compared to everybody else. I just don't think you can. So I'm going to be all aboard the Rory McIlroy train when it comes to these FedEx Cup playoffs. And so, UFC this week as well. 8, 12, 23, I believe. The event packs. Jump in and grab some of those puppies too. But as we're building out our single entry lineup, I'm taking my best cards and I'm playing those in the single entry like I do every single week. And we are going to have Rory McIlroy as our captain. We are then going to, without even thinking about it, play Scotty Scheffler and Jon Rahm. Does this end up being a little bit too stacked? Should I maybe take Scheffler and Rahm and move them over? I think there's a case to be made for that, but I think for me, I'll stick with Scotty Scheffler being the only guy here for the time being. I'm not going to build out. I don't want to show my entire 5 this week like I would normal weeks because there are only a limited amount of combinations. So there's going to be one player that I omit from my single entry lineup. I apologize to the people. I do want to always be honest with you, but I want to be looking at this board. And when we go to the large field tournament, we'll talk about my expensive, my mid-range, and my cheapie that we're looking at. And there's a lot of cheapies that I'm looking at this week purely because of what that utility could be going forward. They're also going to have a better chance of having utility towards the end of the season where we don't have Rory McIlroy. We don't have John Rahm. We don't have Scotty Scheffler playing maybe more than one event. The CJ Cup. They'll probably play the CJ Cup, and that's about it. If they even play that. Rory's not going to probably play anything. We'll see. We'll see. But the next guy in for me, there's no way Tyrrell Hatton is not going to be on my single entry team. He's so good on Bermuda grass. He's just been stellar all season long. And I think if you didn't have this ridiculous run from Scotty Scheffler, we would be talking about T20 Open Championship, T6 over there, Scottish. We got T27, T3, T12, T15, T5, T3, T19. He also plays Pete Dye golf courses very, very well. He plays a lot of those Florida tracks, which I think this looks more like than anything else. If you look at the setup of TPC Southwind, friends, Pete Dye, water off the tee, got to be good off the tee. And boy, oh boy, my friends, is Tyrrell Hatton that guy. It seems like he's not breaking clubs. I feel like we haven't had any of those bits, even though we kind of want to see them. It's an enjoyable show. But he's sixth in terms of strokes gained off the tee amongst this field in his last 50 rounds. He's fourth in strokes gained putting in his last 50 rounds as well. We're talking top 20 in approach. We're talking fourth in DK scoring. Everything across the board looks nice for Tyrrell Hatton. I am clicking him. So yeah, Rory McIlroy. We got Scotty Scheffler. I can't fade him in single entry. It's come too far. I think I'm going to save Rahm and make him a long shot for the people here. But the other question becomes, out of these players, the Morikawas, the Tom Kims, the Finaus, Homa, Schauffele, who should I be clicking in with single entry? I think it's pretty clear cut for me that with Schauffele here, there's also the chance to go and get a Patrick Cantlay, which I think I might be doing this week and maybe plug and playing him in single entry. Sub $7. I'm okay putting that together. You kind of want to run into the nuts for this. But I am going to be clicking on Viktor Hovland. We've seen some good success for him in Florida, Oklahoma State product. He's playing well everywhere. And for me, this is just kind of an off the tee spectacular. You got a lot of water lurking. You got to be a little bit careful here at TP Southwind. And he doesn't have the crazy what am I trying to say? Course history that you might see for some other players here. I mean, he's relatively new to the PGA Tour compared to some of the other top players in the world, but we've already seen a 20th for him last season, and the around the green game is so much improved. He lost 1.3 strokes during that event, gained 2.5 with the putter, gained 2.4 with the approach, and 1.4 off the tee. So the ball striking looked lovely. He won at the Memorial. He hasn't finished outside of the top 30 in his last 4 events, period. He's played really nice golf on some of these Bermuda tracks here. Third at the Players, another Pete Dye track, TPC Sawgrass. So Viktor Hovland, my friends, I think he's an interesting add. And, well, one of these players will be my last guy in for single entry, but we're going to save it here for a second. I'm going to just click on somebody that is so arbitrary here at the bottom. Woo. Brandon Wu, he will not be in my single entry, but I'm going to save it here right now for the people, just so I have it for myself there too. But this is where I think it's going to get really, really fun, friends. So 3K to first, again, 17,000. We're trying to beat 25,000 different iterations of just 70 golfers in a field. You want to get unique New York. Now, I've been pretty against Max Homa on Bermuda here of late, even though we're starting to see some signs. And I mean, he's played well at the Wells Fargo, Bermuda-ish. Yeah, there's that. But I am looking for my expensive guy to, no doubt about it, be Scotty Scheffler. If you're going to be looking at this, I mean, Rory McIlroy talked about him being my captain, but over the course of 3 tournaments, if you're going to be paying up for anybody this week, and I haven't recommended the Scotty Scheffler go up and buy him because you're looking for value, you're looking for things of that nature, you might as well get the best player that you can in the field for sub $15 if you're trying to win this. If you're just trying to cash, go ahead and combine some of these cheapies. Try to get the guys who are going to finish 47th, 46th, that are going to sneak into that top 50 so you have utility next week. You know, if you could, 22nd, 24th, those are some really good players as well. But Scotty Scheffler is the cream of the crop. And you got to just kind of plug and play him here. John Rahm, I'm not going to call him an afterthought because he's just fantastic at golf himself, played well at the Open relative to these other top players, relative to Rory, relative to Scotty Scheffler. T2, that's pretty good. He kept it together even after a brutal first round. So John Rahm, I'm not saying that you couldn't make that the starter. He's going to be the captain for this lineup, mainly because those are the cards that I have. You play the cards that you have. You try to make good decisions. And Scotty Scheffler, buying him, if you're trying to win a large field GPP this week, yes, he's going to be very, very popular, but he's going to be very popular in the captain, where most people are going to have him. His utility ownership is going to be maybe identical to that of what you're looking at for a Scotty Scheffler in the captain. 27% and 27%, 54%. That sounds about right to me when you're talking about all of these players in this field. So John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, though, combining it with him, that is definitely an expensive player to go and buy and get. I'm going to be clicking on Schauffele and Homa for the sake of this because, hey, they're the cards that I have. It is wild to see Colin Morikawa sub $5, but he's not actually the mid-range play that I'm going to be recommending for you. And this is where we want to start, jumping over here to the FedEx St. Jude and find a couple of these players in the bottom range that can possibly sneak into that top 50 and could still carry some extra utility, friends. And this, you got to scroll a little bit further than you'd think to get to Denny McCarthy. And I think the pricing's a little bit off when you see Hideki Matsuyama with only a couple events left at $295 and Denny McCarthy at $2.21. Because if you can just stay with me here, 27th on the FedEx Cup is Denny McCarthy. And yeah, is he a longer shot to win at 66 to 1? Sure. But he's an unbelievable putter of the golf ball. Number one in strokes gained amongst putting, amongst this entire field of the best players in the world. So that's cool. But you got to go to 50. Where is he at? 57 to get to Hideki Matsuyama. If he doesn't play well this week, he gone. It is insane to me. There are so many pricing inefficiencies this week that you just need to open your eyes. And can Hideki play himself into this? Absolutely. I have his card. I would be cheering for it. But as you can see, I went out of my way. I got myself a Denny McCarthy rare. I've had that thing all season long because I thought, hey, he's going to be somebody who just spikes these massive weeks. I think for large field GPPs, probably my favorite buy period out of any golfer this week. He is firmly within that top 30. It is impossible for him to play himself out of the BMW next week. And he has a very good chance, if he plays decently well one of the 2 weeks, to solidify his place in the circle of life. No, in the top 30 is what I'm getting at. So, friends, 27th in the FedEx Cup playoffs, Denny McCarthy, an unbelievably good buy. And hey, you can make that case for a Chris Kirk sitting there in that range. Sung Jae Im, who hasn't been my favorite target all season long. Thank God we haven't been clicking on his name or recommending him. It has been a tough year. We have my guy Eric Cole, who I talk about every single week. My guy JT Poston, who's starting to put up some good finishes. They're right on that fringe, though, of, hey, if they don't play well over the course of these 4 days, they're going to hit the road check. Again, no cut event. Should have probably led with that. We're looking for birdie makers, which leads me, friends, to, again, Sunday. You want to be reacting because there are some of these players, they're going to play themselves into the top 50. And there are some of these players that are going to play themselves out of the top 50. But there's one player that I think I've been on all season long. And I think that this is just asinine what his price is at. People have gotten really hip and really smart to Sepp Straka. He is now more expensive than Denny McCarthy, which is a little bit wrong to me, but sitting there at 15th, pretty wild to see him there, knowing that, hey, just happy to be there. But I don't know what to make of Seamus Power. He's played very, very poorly here of late, and he's still found his way into the top 30 right now. He's sitting at $1.15 for the core. He's sitting at $5.50 for the rare. It would be very difficult for him to play so poorly at 29th to not be in the BMW next week. Now, you still need a good result one of the 2 weeks from him, and you can see very, very quickly that Seamus Power has not had some good results of late. Couple cuts, yada, 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 more cuts, We have a couple of decent results in the middle of stuff, but it was primarily a great end of 2022 for him, getting a W, a T3, a T5, and then a really nice beginning to his season. Going over to Kapalua wasn't great, but after that, looked like some really good golf that we were going to get out of him. T20, T15, T20, T14. But now, with no cut, with no opportunity for him to finish outside of the top 50 this week, he's $1.15. I'm not going to say stockpile Seamus Power, but I can guarantee you that I will not be the only one coming out of my way or going out of my way to be purchasing a little bit of Seamus Power here. Again, the booster, just double checking serial number, always buy the lowest serial number. Tiebreakers. There's going to be some tiebreaker opportunities there for sure at East Lake. And we'll talk more about serial numbers for the first time in probably a long time. Golf, you get these large enough fields, and yeah, you might run into some 1v1, 2v2 type situations that you got to be careful of. But for the most part, even with top 70, I'm playing best available. But Seamus Power for $1. If you're trying to round out your lineup and just blindly click somebody for the next 2 weeks, you're paying 55 cents for him the next 2 weeks. So friends, that does it for me talking through some of the game theory. Hopefully this made sense. The most important part of today though, be reacting to Sunday. Make sure you get yourself in a place where you are buying cards on the marketplace. Go to shop, go to PGA Tour, scroll down to listings, and be ready to react. Have a couple of players that might be on the fringe. So if you're coming down Sunday, have Lucas Glover on tap. Have Tom Hoge, who's a big target for me this week as well. Didn't talk about him because I talked about him on the live show with Greg Ehrenberg, iron player extraordinaire. Hopefully we can find a little bit of form there for him. But as we jump over to the listings, have a couple of those guys that are sitting on that fringe. There's no cut, so everybody's going to be playing 4 rounds. You might have a pretty good idea of who played themselves into a spot and who played themselves out of a spot going into Sunday. But definitely on Sunday, there's going to be 3 or 4 big movers amongst around that 50, around that cut line. So be proactive, be ready to react to guys like this. And let's say you have, I don't know, Brandon Wu, who I mean, I didn't mean to put him in my single entry. It is what it is. We're trying to get rid of some Brandon Wu. The other thing you can pay very close attention to in this marketplace, friends, lots of game theory stuff going on this week. It's fun. You got Brandon Wu, price low. Ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. It's coming. It's coming. Here we are. Top offers. If you are planning to hit eject, if you do not think they're going to make the cut, you lose 2 weeks of utility. Yeah, you're going to have some interesting tournaments coming up in the fall, but for the most part, Brandon Wu probably is going to be one of the guys playing in them. But if you're looking to get rid of a guy and use that money towards something else, Tom Hoge, say that he's about to miss the cut. Go ahead and hit eject on the 46 cents and utilize that on a player who is jumping in there. So be reactive. Again, you could save yourself $2.50 and be able to fire that up in the NFL streets. So I'm going to be in the marketplace nonstop on Sunday. I think you should be too. React, react, react. Have I said that a couple of times this show? I think I have. But friends, that does it for me here on the PGA Tour Reignmakers DraftKings program. Hit that like button on the way out. We've talked for almost 25 minutes about a 70-person golf tournament, a 70 golfer event. Wild stuff that we're going to be playing on that Bermuda grass out there in Tennessee. Very much looking forward. I think TPC Southwind is an awesome tournament golf course. Really glad that I don't have to play it, though, because I'd shoot a million at the moment. I can't putt. But friends, I will be back next week talking the top 50 at the BMW Championship. If you won one of those events to that, congratulations. Enjoy your time there, courtesy of DraftKings Reignmakers. I know they had those contests rolling for all of the people earlier this season. But I'll be back. I'm Eric Lindquist. Eric, I don't just screwing up the ending. Don't mind me. I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the PGA Tour DraftKings Reignmakers streets this week at the FedEx St. Jude Championship for the FedEx Cup playoffs. I'll get better next week because it's the BMW and won't be named the same thing. Goodbye.